It's Wednesday, January 24th, 2024, and I've got one college basketball total, one NBA total, and one money line parlay. This is the Free Three. What's up, guys? It's your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video where I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day as you just try to get to the bag together and make some money. Yesterday, 1 and 2 day on the channel, so close to a 2 and 1 day. We cashed in on the Virginia Tech and TCU late night parlay. Love to see that TCU made a great comeback in that matchup, but we did lose on the UCF Oklahoma parlay as Oklahoma sold us, man. I was not expecting Oklahoma to sell us like that, and they just completely folded in the second half. Shout out to Texas. Now we got to actually see if they're legit or not. And then Zion's points, we did lose on that as well, as bro decided to not shoot the ball that much and decided to just dish out 11 assists. He had 17 points, but he finished with 11 assists. So we finished 1 and 2 on the day. Year-to-date record you can see right here, just a little bit underneath 500 to start the new year. But listen, we've got a little bit of time left. We've got a few more days. We're going to turn this ship around. Stick with me, my friends, and if you can, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, because I promise you, we're going to be putting out a lot of winners here on the channel, and baseball is 60 days away. So you know I love baseball season. So once we have baseball, basketball, all the sports working at one time, that's a real fun time for you guys to be a part of the community. All right, my friends, now let's dive into these first best bets. For my first best bet of the day, we're going to go to a college basketball slate. And like I mentioned, we've got a total in this one. I'm going to this Providence Friars Seton Hall game, and I'm going to take the under 137.5 minus 110 odds. So this is more of a situational spot for me. Truthfully, both of my picks today are. And the reason why I like this is, did you guys see that game on Saturday when Creighton and Seton Hall played? One of the best games, if not the best game of the college basketball season so far this year. That game went into triple overtime. Shout out to Creighton for actually picking up that very big road win. But one of the things that is worth noting inside of this game, based on last game, is that Seton Hall is probably going to be tired in this game. Yes, they had about 3 days of rest in between both those matchups, but when you play for 45-50 minutes like this team did on Saturday, it's very hard for you now to say, let me turn around, play another good team like Providence that's defensive minded, and say that you're going to be able to score a ton of points. Maybe they get out to a hot start and maybe you want to look at for this game live or this total live, but I think in the second half we're going to see fatigue start setting in for the Seton Hall team, and their shots are going to start missing. If you look at some of the numbers of these guys on Seton Hall on Saturday, 45 minutes, 47 minutes, 51 minutes, 48 minutes, and 52 minutes are what the starters played on Saturday. The leading person off the bench for the Seton Hall Pirates, 13 minutes off the bench. So they already don't have a deep rotation to begin with, and they've been running this tight rotation all through non-conference and conference schedule so far. After a triple overtime game, now you have to play Providence that's ranked 10th in defensive efficiency. For me, I really just don't know if they're going to be able to score enough points in this matchup. And Providence, keep in mind now that they've lost their best player for the year, Bryce Hopkins, we've been more on their under trend of lately, because this Providence team is truthfully not the same without him. They were going to make some noise in the Big East, but with losing their best player now, things are just different for this Providence team, and they're now truthfully not in the same position that they were in before. They find themselves having to scrap through every Big East game. They actually find themselves under 500 in the conference, and I think this is an opportunity where they're looking at this, encircling this game and saying, you know what, we have a chance to not only avenge a loss that we had before, but we also have an opportunity now to win a game against a very fatigued team. Keep in mind, Seton Hall and Providence played already earlier this season. Seton Hall picked up the win at Providence 61-57. We had a total in that game of 135.5, and that game went under, well under 61-57. That's like 118 points. We well went under that total in the first game. I expect to see the same thing exactly today. Why? Because both of these teams are going to take away what the other team does good. Not only does Providence play great defense, but they take away the interior paint. That's what Seton Hall likes to do. They like to score the ball inside. They don't like to shoot a ton of three-pointers. They're actually near the bottom half of college basketball in terms of three-point shots attempted. But when you look at their two-point field goal percentage, Seton Hall's a lot higher there. Now, when you flip it on this other side, Providence doesn't shoot a ton of threes, but Seton Hall defends the interior really well. So that plays into the hands of Seton Hall defensively. The fact that they have the 53rd ranked defense in terms of two-point percentage, they've got a 74th ranked defense in defensive efficiency. I just think that this one is going to come down to a slower paced game. Seton Hall is going to be tired. Providence is going to slow it down in a way to try to win this game. So for me, I think we're going to be able to go under this total pretty easily here of 137.5. Let's lock that in as our first best bet of the day. For my second best bet of the day, we're going to go over to the NBA hardwood. I've got another total for you, and we're going to go to this Warriors and Hawks matchup. And what we're going to do is, instead of taking the under, we're going to take the over, 233.5, minus 110 odds on FanDuel. So make sure you shop around, as this line is already moved. It's been 9 days since the Warriors have last played a basketball game. The last 2 games that they had were postponed due to the death of one of their assistant coaches. May he rest in peace. They last played last Monday against Memphis. They lost that game 107-116, but that was also Draymond Green's first game back following his mental health sabbatical that they made him go on, right? Warriors are now finding themselves at 18-22 on the season, 12th in the West right now, and if they are going to turn things around, they're going to have to turn things around right now. Again, this is another situational spot. I just gave you a situational spot with Seton Hall, the fact that they played a triple overtime game. This is a situational spot, the fact that the Warriors have had 2 games off, truthfully 9 days off, and I think this is a very good opportunity for this Warriors team to really turn things around. Now, obviously, a death is no opportunity, right? I'm not saying that, but the Warriors, in my opinion, just got like a mini all-star break in the middle of the season, and now is the perfect time for them to be able to turn it around before they go on a gauntlet of a schedule, right? So they're at home today against Atlanta, but after this game, they've got a matchup against Sacramento, Lakers, Philly, and then at Memphis again. So for me, this is a big opportunity for this team to be able to pick up a big win, then now go against Sacramento, the Lakers, and Philly, and maybe build on that momentum from there and get back into the conversation about, maybe competing in the West. But also, I like the fact that Draymond played in that last game against the Grizzlies. So now think about that. They had 9 games with him off of the suspension, back in the rotation, working out. Obviously, it's different than game speed and being actually in a real game, but this is a veteran team. This is a championship team, or like they know what to do to win at that level. I think they took advantage of those 9 days, those 2 games that they had postponed, and are going to turn this thing around. And because of that, they're rested. We should see a ton of offense in this game. Now, keep in mind that Trae Young is not playing for the Hawks today, but this is the thing. You guys know I'm a trend better. I like to find a stat where it's like, oh, this guy's gone over 5 straight games. I like to be on the back of the trend. Hey, we're gonna buck the trend today. The Hawks have gone under in 9 straight games. So for me, we're gonna go against that and go for the over today, even though Trae Young is not playing. They played 4 games this season without Trae Young. The first 2 games that they played, they went over, and against Detroit and against Philly. The last 2 games that they played against Miami and the last game against the Kings, where Trae Young didn't play, those games went under, but Miami's not really a high-scoring offense, and then the Kings right now are not looking real good, in all honesty. So for me, when I think about this Warriors team that's rested and that have all their pieces clicking, which I understand that they're not 100% right now, but they had 9 days. Like, I expect them to figure some stuff out, and against a very porous Hawks defense that's ranked in the bottom 5 in terms of points allowed per game, I think this is a good opportunity for the Warriors to be able to score some points. Golden State can score some points. They're 12th in the league in averaging 117 points per game, and the Hawks are 6th in the NBA, averaging 120 points per game. So even though Trae Young's not playing, it's not like the Warriors have their marquee defense that's stopping anybody necessarily either. So again, this is another narrative as to why I like the over. And then when you look into the numbers a little bit more, the Warriors are an over team at home, 14-8 to the over at home this year. You love to see that. Meanwhile, the Hawks are still an over team, 22-20 to the over. But like I mentioned, they've gone 9 straight unders, and to me, I got to go against that trend today. I think today is an over day. The Bay will be rocking. The fans will be going crazy. And then also, I think the Warriors may even play inspired for their assistant coach, dedicate that game to him. So I expect a lot of offense, maybe a great performance from Steph and Clay. Give me the over 233.5 here as our second best bet of the day. For our third and final best bet of the day, we're going to go with a 2-team steam here, money line parlay, and I'm going to take Iowa State on the money line. I'm parlaying this with Ole Miss on the money line. That gets you about minus 120 odd as our late night tuck me in piece, as both of these games tip off around 9 p.m. Eastern time. Now let's dive into this game real quickly here. Iowa State is at home against Kansas State. Iowa State's coming off that big road win against TCU on the road on Saturday, winning that game 73-72, and that's what you love to see. This Iowa State team is legit. They're 14-4 this year, and all of their losses have been away or on neutral floors. They lost to BYU on the road. They lost to Oklahoma on the road to start Big 12 play, and then they also lost to Texas A&M and Virginia Tech on the neutral floor. But every game they've had at home, they've been locked in and they've been able to win games. Why? Because of their defense. Ranked 3rd in defensive efficiency, number 1 in all of college basketball in turnover percentage. That is going to matter a lot today because they play a Kansas State team that turns over over the ball a ton. They're actually in the bottom 30 of all college basketball teams in turnover percentage on the offensive side of the ball. And that, to me, is not a recipe that's going to get it done, especially on the road. We have about an 8.5, 8-point spread in this one. I don't know if necessarily Iowa State covers such a large number because K-State is a pretty good team, especially defensively. 21 in the defensive efficiency for K-State. They can stop guys. They're holding teams to an effective field goal percentage of 45%. That's 22nd best in all of college basketball. And they're coming off 2 back-to-back strong wins against Baylor in overtime and Oklahoma State. So I think there's a chance that K-State can cover this number here, but I just don't see them winning this game on the road. Iowa State's been able to defend the home court all year so far, and I think there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do it today. So just take them on the money line to win outright, as I think the better defense prevails and their strength plays into the weakness of Kansas State. I expect a lot of turnovers from this Kansas State team. Iowa State to get out in transition behind that home crowd, be able to knock down some shots, and also be able to take advantage of that strong 2-point offense that they've got. Now, for the other matchup tonight that I'm going to take the other parlay leg on, we've got Ole Miss, and they are taking on Arkansas. Now, Arkansas is one of these teams that is kind of on auto fade mode for me right now. I've been watching Arkansas. I'm a big fan of Arkansas. I'm a big fan of Eric Musselman. And they were a team that started off the year on KenPom. Like, they started the year ranked. There was a lot of hype around this Arkansas team. But one thing about Arkansas teams is they start off the year terrible on offense, but they typically tend to figure it out throughout the year. This Arkansas team has not been able to figure it out on the offensive side of the ball this year. And truthfully, on the defensive side of the ball, they're not really as good as we're used to seeing them do either. Ranked 95 in offensive efficiency, ranked 107 in defensive efficiency, which are two numbers that you really never see from Eric Musselman teams. Then they play fast at 61 in adjusted tempo. Those are just not a recipe for getting victories. And that is why Arkansas finds themselves right now 10-8 and 1-4 in conference play. They just lost at home in their last match against South Carolina on Saturday. I mean, obviously that loss doesn't look as bad anymore now that South Carolina smacked Kentucky yesterday, but still, this is an Arkansas team that would expect them to do a little bit better. Okay, look at the conference schedule. They lost to Auburn at home. We can understand that loss. Auburn's a good team. But they lose to Georgia on the road. Okay, road game, I get it. But then you lose to Florida on the road, and then the only win that you have in conference play is at home against TCU, is at home against Texas A&M. All of their losses this year, besides that home loss against Auburn and that last loss against South Carolina, have come on the road against Oklahoma, came on the road against Memphis, North Carolina, Florida, Georgia. So for me, on the road today against an Ole Miss, a team that has shocked some people this year, I think they can be able to get it done. Chris Beard down there in Oxford, Mississippi has those boys playing inspired basketball, and truthfully, I think this is an opportunity for them to pick up a big home win after dropping their last 2 games on the road. They lost to LSU, they lost to Auburn, both of those games on the road. Now they found themselves 2-3 in conference play, but they've been able to defend the home court in conference play, beating Florida and Vanderbilt at home. And I think that this Arkansas team right now is nowhere near as good as Florida is. And this Chris Beard Ole Miss offense is moving pretty well. They shoot the ball at one of the tops in all of college basketball, actually top 20 in 3-point percentage on the offensive side in college basketball, and they're ranked 49th in offensive efficiency. And then for me, I think this is a matchup where Arkansas just doesn't have enough offense to be able to keep up, and this Ole Miss team likes to play slow, so they might just take the air out of the ball completely and really force Arkansas to play in the half court, which they have not shown that they've been able to do so far this year. So let's go with Ole Miss on the money line. Let's go with Iowa State on the money line. Parlay those two together as our final best bet of the day. Well, that's it for me today, my friends. 3 best bets, 3 winners that are headed to your way this Wednesday slate. We're going to go with the under Seton Hall and Providence game. We're going to go with the over in the Golden State Warriors and Hawks game. And then we're also going to go with the 2-team steam late night at 9 p.m. Take that Iowa State money line, parlay that with Ole Miss on the money line, and then we'll be able to tuck us in and have a good night, all right? Hopefully tomorrow we'll be celebrating a sweep. As always, I appreciate the love and support, and if you aren't a part of our Discord community just yet, make sure you join that community so this way you can get all of our other picks and plays that we're dropping throughout the day. Appreciate y'all. Let's get to that money. I'll see y'all later, gang.